a fundamental need of a particular hierarchical view of life. And only by taking away that fundament, that basis, are we ever going to have societies that honor each person's uniqueness, that don't put us into groups, that don't think we are naturally born in a hierarchy, that understand that human beings are not ranked, we are linked, that stop the hierarchical image and begin the circular image that we all care for and that we all once lived. It's especially important, I think, that we stop looking at movements as separate, because they certainly are linked. The women's movement, the civil rights movement, the gay and lesbian movement, the environmental movement, they're all linked, they're all interdependent. And I feel we need especially to say this because left over from the last election, we still have some not great idea that race and sex are competitive. And what does that do for women of color, or the majority of women on this earth? It makes no sense whatsoever. So, though there are big differences in the way that racism is lived by white women and women of color, the past, present, and future truth is this: racism punishes all women because our bodies are the means of production. In the long run, sexism and racism can only be uprooted together. It's a truth hidden in plain sight, hidden by the idea that politics is what happens to men, but culture is what happens to women. And hidden by the divisive fiction that to protest sexism detracts from protesting racism, or vice versa. That's why I've always felt that as a white feminist, my job is especially to talk to other white women about how and why sexism and racism are intertwined. Gender roles at home create a pattern for race and class outside it. After all, gender tends to be our first lesson in dividing human beings into active and passive, subject and object, the leaders and the led. We learn early that if it's okay for one group to eat while another cooks, for one to get paid for work outside the home, while another works just as hard, if not harder, inside the home, and is neither paid nor counted as a worker. And for one to set the rules for others, and one to follow them. Gender digs a trench in our brains for race and class to fall into. If we accept one birth-based superiority, it makes it easier to accept another. If you've challenged one, it's easier to challenge another. That's why social justice movements are so contagious. And it is also true of the linkage, of course, is true for the gay and lesbian movement. I speak on campuses a lot, several times a month. And students say to me, why are the same groups against contraception and against lesbians?
Excellent question.
This is excellent. And I always say, yes, actually, it does make sense. Because our adversaries want us to believe that the only moral purpose of sexuality is conception. And so they wish to punish any form of sexual expression that can't end in conception. So the adversaries of safe and legal abortion and contraception and two people of the same sex who love each other, are actually the same people. And they know that they're the same people. We need to know that they're the same people, so that we unify and we see and understand the social justice, the great social justice movements to be truly linked. I know that you, especially in this state, but you know, all over this country, Planned Parenthood is under tremendous pressure. You're fighting the battle of funding. As you know, many states are fighting battles about draconian conditions before a woman is able to choose an abortion.